Today's question comes from Tiffany Oberoy in Mountain View, California. And Tiffany wants to know, what are the top 3 to 5 things that I should pay attention to in Webmaster Tools?
So I asked this question. Webmaster Tools has a ton of really good information, but sometimes when I look at it, I feel like it's a little bit of data overload. I don't know what to focus on. So I'll tell you my top 3 things, but I also want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what are the best features for you. So my number one thing is the messages. So that's where Google is sending you information specific to you that we think is really important. So I think you've got to put a high priority on making sure you get those messages. On the spam team, we're taking a lot of efforts to give more messages in your Webmaster Tools message center related to spam violations. So if we think that your page has been hacked or for specific violations, we're going to send those messages to you in your Webmaster Tools. So one thing that you should definitely do is on your home dashboard, set up the email forwarding so the messages will go to your email, because you don't want to miss any important messages. When your site has been hacked, you want to know as soon as possible. So that's my number one thing. Second thing, under site configuration settings, there's some really good stuff there that you can set up. It's more of a one-time set it and forget it. But you can set your preferred domain. Do you prefer your site to be seen as www or without the www? So this is really important because people might be linking to you in different ways. And if you haven't decided which is the preferred domain, you might be splitting your link juice. So decide which one, set it there in the site configurations, and we'll transfer all the links, whichever one, to your preferred domain. And it'll show up that way in our search results. The geographic targeting is also there. If you have a top-level domain that's like a country code, like .de or .cn, that's really obvious what country that is targeted for. But if your domain is a .com or .org, one of those neutral ones, we need a little more hint sometimes. So if you can tell us this, even though it's a .com, it's directed at German users, and say Germany is the geographic target right there on your Webmaster Tools. That's a really good hint for us. And then the parameter handling is right there as well. So sometimes if you have dynamic URLs, you might have a duplicate content issue because you're getting all these extra parameters added to your URLs, and they look like different URLs to us when the content is actually the same. Maybe there's like a tracking ID parameter or sort order parameter. It's the same content though. So you can tell Google in your Webmaster Tools which parameters to ignore because they don't change the content. So that's a really good thing. And then my third one is under your site on the web, under keywords. I really like this keyword report. It tells you basically what does Google think your site is about. It's the top keywords that appear on your site. So it's really interesting to compare that list to what you think your site is about, and sometimes they don't match up. So you can, from that, get feedback about what keywords you should be putting more often on your page. You should also monitor that list for dramatic changes. Sometimes when a site is hacked, then those hacked keywords will start infiltrating your popular keyword list. So if you start seeing Viagra or Cialis in your top keywords, that's a big red warning sign that something's not right on your page, unless that is what your page is about. Okay, so those are my top 3. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, so I guess you covered kind of the essentials. So I'll just mention 2 more that maybe you haven't looked at yet. The first one is HTML suggestions. And what that feature does is it lets you know if we've detected any possible issues with your meta descriptions or your title tags. And those are pretty important because those 2 things can directly influence how your search result appears on the search results page. The title tag, for example, is often what we'll use to show the title of your site, and the meta description will often prefer that if you've written one yourself over us just trying to generate a snippet automatically as the description of your site. And the things that we detect are If you have a bunch of duplicate titles or meta descriptions, or if they're too long or too short, so they're not as useful. Because if you have unique titles and descriptions for every page, that can really help users differentiate the different pages on the site when they're going through the search results. And so they'll know that's the exact article that I'm looking for. And so, the description wouldn't just say something like, another great article from example.com. They could actually see a short synopsis of what that's about. And the title tags, you don't want to have, just your company name on every single page, or, untitled, or, something not useful like that. You'd probably want to have, the title of your business, and maybe, whether it's a product page, have the specific product or something like that. Maybe a couple of keywords to describe what that page is about, which can help in search engines, and also, bookmarks and stuff like that. And the other thing that I would mention is in our labs section of Webmaster Tools, we have a feature called Site Performance. And that lets you see how fast your site is relative to other sites on the web. And so since site performance has a lot to do with user experience, users enjoy browsing faster pages. It's good to know, are you, which end of the spectrum are you on? Are you one of those pages that people have to wait for it to load? Or is your site nice and fast? If your site's a little on the slower side, we have a lot of documentation about how to make your site faster. And we link to that from within Webmaster Tools, and we'll also leave a link below this video to let you know how you can improve your site's performance. So those are my top 2 things that I would mention.
Cool. So those are our top 3 to 5, but there's a ton of stuff there. And like I said, we want to hear from you. What are your favorites? So let us know in the comments.